dance with me, move your body, 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 your life would be.
Welcome to Market Makers, everyone. Your home for tomorrow's TA today. Guys, I hope everybody had a fantastic weekend. It is time to get back to work. So let's talk about what's going on in the market. I don't want to spend a lot of time on my big macro pattern. You guys have seen it every single video. If you're interested in this pattern, watch the last video. I cover it there as well. The key takeaway is 50% expansion, the growth rate, the market symmetry. That next move takes you to 168. I want to focus on the patterns that are playing out right now in the current price action. Guys, if you want to trade these markets, trade the cryptos, check out our sponsor, Bitunix. It helps support the channel. Lee and I would greatly appreciate it. Become a Market Makers VIP. All you need is an email to trade. People in the US, you can trade there. Use our link that's in the X post, and I'll pin it in the YouTube comments as well. So let's look at this. This is what I want to talk about today. We have the current price action over here on the left, which, where's my brush? Over here on the right. There's your current price action. But what I'm interested in is the fractal patterns that repeat in the market, as you guys know. Now, interestingly, I showed you in the last video overlaying the S&P as well. You know, Bitcoin is a risk barometer for the markets, right? So it typically moves. Oftentimes it's leading. Sometimes it lags, but oftentimes it's leading the market. It is a risk barometer. Look what Bitcoin did the last two years in a row now. July 29th, you made a July 29th top, and then you sold off 30%. And then what happened after that retracement? Big power move up, right? And this is part of your 50% growth rate expansion before the next key retracement. 50% up, 120% off the low, but 50% up. What did it do in 2023? 2023, we had our diamond pattern breakout. But in 2023 in July, it topped July 13th, sold off 24%, and then it based, and then you had your next big power move up, right? Over and over again, guys. The market moves in patterns. It's market symmetry. It's a 130% move from that next key level top and your 50% expansion before the next key retracement, right? So you hit your 54%, sold back off, and that was a very short, shallow retracement before going up to the next key level. So again, big moves happened after the July tops. So will we get a July top? Well, I want to zoom in on this fractal right here in 2024 because this is interesting. You had a couple different things going on. It's not a one-to-one here. You were in a corrective phase on Bitcoin. You had a nice 5-wave corrective fractal that played out here. Here's your wave 1, here's your 2, here's your 3, and then here's your 4. Sometimes the market's really easy to trade. Here's your 5-wave corrective fractal. You base, higher lows, boom, lift off, right? So this is different in the sense that it's a corrective fractal, but there's a couple of things that are really key here, right? When did Bitcoin bottom? Bitcoin bottomed in the current price market the same day as the S&P, the same day as silver, the same day as the German DAX. Markets, again, it's all about risk and money flowing across the markets. So Bitcoin bottomed the same day over here, but what did it do in 2024 before it led up to this July top? This is the interesting part. 2024, it bottomed July 5th, okay? The day after Independence Day here in the USA, where we walloped Lee and his friends, but then we went on a 31% ripper to the upside, okay? Then we topped in July, and then we fell down. So this is why this is interesting to me, because right now we're going sideways. So July 5th, we put in a low, and then we went up, okay? We went up 30%, sold off 30%, big moves. And then when was the top over here prior to that July 5th? This was June 7th, okay? So June 7th, right? What is today? Today's June 9th. So just to let me back up here to give you guys a little bit more coherence. I just had some caffeine. But June 7th, we made a top, okay? June 7th, we made a top. We sold off to July 5th, the day after Independence Day, which is coming up, and then we rallied a big rally, made a July top on July 29th, late July, just like the S&P, within 72 hours of each other, and then it sold off 30%, okay? So this fractal could be repeating again, meaning first step, looking at a potential top in the market, which what is coming up, guys? On June 11th, we have a lunar cycle potential top. Could be a bottom for a breakout, but could also be a top. We're going to look at it zoomed in on another chart. So if we repeat this fractal, there's no guarantee, but it makes it easier to trade if you do repeat it. Looking for a short-term top, a retracement, and then a bottom here looks like early June, July 5th, or early July, I should say, July 5th in this case, last year, which was right after Independence Day, then a big rally up to a July top. This happened fast. July 5th was a bottom, and then July 29th was a top, okay? And this also matches what the S&P did the last 2 years, July tops. So I want to see if this fractal's repeating once again, because you see it over here, right? Look at the sideways price action that we have. Could we be coming into our short-term top, our retracement, right? So short-term top, maybe with the lunar cycle. Our retracement, do we hold this hyper bullish range? Do we come back down into this 93, 97? Base in early July, take off for a late July high, just like we did in 2024. That's what I want to look at today. I hope you guys are following along. So henceforth, this is what we're looking at with the lunar cycles. Note it here. I put the full moon cycle. It's June 11th. Full moon cycle on the top and bottom, because is it a top or is it a bottom? Now, I've made a couple videos as we've been approaching this, and obviously sometimes this is easier when you're moving into the price action. When you're descending into the cycle change, it's a more obvious bottom. When you're rising into the cycle change, it's a more obvious top. These are all descensions, bottom, bottom, bottom. When you're going sideways, again, look at how the price action has changed, right? So we bottomed a couple days ago, a few days ago now, and now it's ripping back to the upside. So does that mean we're making a top, or will we sell back off, like, you know, later today, tomorrow, Wednesday, come back down, retest it, and then it could be a bottom. So again, when you're going sideways, it's trickier because you don't know what the price action is doing. You have to see what it's doing here day to day. And just keep in mind, this isn't anything magical. This is just a timing confluence with a pattern, right? So when you look at some of these previous tops, yes, you got a top, but what was Bitcoin doing? It's just going sideways, and then it broke out. You got a top to the day, and your last full moon cycle, Bitcoin went sideways another week, and then it broke out. Could be doing the same thing here on June 11th. Maybe you're making a top like to the day. That would be fantastic. And then you sell back off some, retest the bottom of this range, goes sideways until that late July or early July time pivot somewhere in there, July 1st, July 5th, right around there, and then make that July rally into late July like you did last year. It doesn't have to do that. But again, that's what a fractal is. A fractal is a self-repeating pattern. You don't know if it's tracking to it until it's tracking to it. So the first step would be, do we make our June 11th top? This is that early to mid-June top like we did in 2024. Then do we retrace and hold a specific range, either this range or our next range down, that 97 to 92, which is that range I really like down here. Do we hold that specific range, base, breakout, early July, July 5th last year, and then move to a July top, a late July top for a big rally, then get the key retracement, right? Following along, makes sense? Bitcoin on the 8-hour, just walk you through the price action. We had our 3 waves to a top that completed right in our kill box, guys. If you watched our videos, we had this targeted out here at 110 to 113, and we split the difference there right just under 112, right? Beautiful ABC formed. Take my fractal trading course, marketmakers.trade. Join our Discord. Learn these patterns. Beautiful ABC fractal. Hit the 1618 perfectly, like within $100. Then you got a rebound off of it, then sold back off when mommy and daddy were fighting and everything started rolling in the markets, and you hit perfectly 101K. The 200% gave you another rebound. Now, when I'm looking at this on an 8-hour chart, again, I'm looking at this a couple different ways. Pulling a fib retracement from the all-time high, you just now got above the 618 at 107.5. Look, if you get back above 108, 109, I'm really watching this turning point, the turning point of June 11th, right? June 11th is going to mark potentially, I mean, look at this, it was to the day, right? So let's see if it marks the high. The high could be right back up here for another double top. And if it starts breaking out, then your pivot low happened a couple of days early, right? That's what happened. That's a pivot low. You get a reversal and it's going to the upside. But I really would like to see this repeat that fractal from 2024. Give us a top here in June, in our mid-June top. Let's retrace, let's base going into July 4th weekend, or I think it's on a weekend, but going into the July 4th holiday, and then break out for the big move in the July top. That's what I would like to see happen. Let's look at Solana. Solana's on a 3-day chart, guys. This, again, was our big Solana trade that I had. If you guys were watching these videos, I mean, I'm really happy with how this has played out in 2025 because I've shared some trades publicly that were really big trades, like accumulating Solana down here below 113, all the way down to 89. It went to 95. And off of that low, if you follow me on X, make sure you follow me on X at Market Canary. 97% move, guys, almost doubling your trade there. 97% move, sold back off. And again, now we're just basing. You're at the 50% retracement of this rally at 141. If you do get more retracement, watch 130 and 121. But overall, I expect Solana to make new highs as Bitcoin moves towards 132 in this cycle, and then ultimately my 168 target. So those numbers here on Solana, based on expansion ratios, is 244, 279, and 337, which is a new all-time high, okay? All this takes time to play out. I added Ethereum finally. You guys annoyed me enough that I put it on here. We're looking at Ethereum. I mean, this is a very clear range of where Ethereum's trading. 2750 on the high side, 2425, your 382, your 50%. I mean, look at this. You formed a beautiful fractal corridor here, right? So this is where you're at right now. And this is really flat. This is really compressing. And that's not a bad thing. It's a good thing. It's building up energy. The question is that energy going to break out to the upside, or is it going to have to retrace some if the Bitcoin pulls down some, Solana and all the other alts pull down some, and then still form your higher low? Your low, maybe get a higher low down here, and then break out to the upside. We don't know yet because you're literally going sideways. And a lot of this is going to depend on what Bitcoin does. If it wants to track the last year's fractal, make that high here in the next few days and start coming back down for a base and then break out towards the July 4th holiday, okay? We'll see if that plays out in that fashion. But when I look at this on my indicators as well, look at this on my, look at the volume delta. Look how tight that volume is. This is normal volume, right? This is actually breakout volume, but these are normal size volume bars, right? Look how tight for days that is. As buyers and sellers, that's why you're in this tight little range. Again, this is going to break out to the upside. Someone's going to win this battle. Could keep going sideways, but at some point, and again, the key is Bitcoin, watch who wins this battle here on Ethereum. Give you my silver update. Again, another trade I made a video on last week. Before silver broke out, we talked about this. We traded it in the room. But look, just from the breakout level, that $33, $34, you're up almost 9% on silver. If you got in this earlier, after we broke the trend line, you're up 12.5% on silver. Fantastic trade. The silver cycle should take you out to August 29th, matching the two previous iterations, 155 days between key tops. Again, maybe David Hunter will comment on this one and tell me I'm wrong, just like I was on gold, right? I think I won that battle. But all right, guys, be sure to check out the market video that's coming out next. And be sure to like and subscribe and consider joining our room, marketmakers.trade.